episode 42 of the Creation Grounds. Lego. I'm your host, Aaron Lloyd. And before I get into the next guest, I want to encourage you to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Anybody who will be encouraged, inspired, motivated, entertained, and all of that. Our next guest is Michele Baldwin. Michele Baldwin is a fighter. She's super positive. She's always doing things. She's involved in a lot of different projects. And this episode, we discuss how she's been staying creative during quarantine, how she's been staying positive during quarantine. The world's going through a lot right now. I know a lot of people are struggling, maybe in dark places. So I wanted to have her on to just talk about optimism and maybe have her share her light with you to light your own light. In this episode, we talk about some good books that she's just recently read. She talks about advice that she would give her 18-year-old self with the knowledge that she has now. She talks about a purchase that she's made for under $100 that's been a game changer for her, that's really changed her. She talks about some of the projects that she has, like a documentary somewhere between heaven and earth, and what her creative process is like, and just tons and tons of great things that I think will help you, including when the quarantine first happened in New York, what she did to kind of turn around some down times that she's had. So enjoy this episode with Michele Baldwin. Be sure to follow her, like, subscribe, and keep following her projects. Michele Baldwin. Welcome to another episode of the Creation Grounds. I have the lovely Michele Baldwin on. How you doing, Michele?
Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Doing good.
Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. So there's been a lot of madness. We have a lot of time, like, kind of quarantined in our homes. What's the last good book that you read?
Ooh, last good book. Okay, so I've been reading two books recently. One book is called let me get it right, The Conspirators' Hierarchy, which is the story of the Committee of 300. And I was actually charged by an elder to read this book, someone who grew up in the 60s and 70s, and was telling me about like how back in 60s, 70s, in Harlem, they had this bookstore called the Store of Knowledge, or the Book of Knowledge, and it was a store that got shut down because they were basically empowering people of color with knowledge. You know, you can go in the store and you can buy all these books that were, knowledgeable and empowering and giving you information that I guess the powers didn't want you to see. And he was like, you got to get this book, but when you get this book, you may not get the book because, they're going to be, they may not let you get the book. And so me, Miss Rebel, I'm like, what? Somebody going to tell me I can't get a book? So I actually ordered it and started reading it, and it's quite interesting. I see, I can see some truth in it, but I'll leave that up to people that are reading it to, dissect for themselves to see what's true, what they think might be truthful and what they think might not be. But we all know that there are some powers that rule our world and want to take over every aspect of our lives, and control us from far. So that's one book. And then another book that I'm reading, because I'm reading both of them at the same time, is I'm reading this book. As a filmmaker, I'm always trying to empower myself with knowledge so that as a producer and a filmmaker, a line producer, that when I work with clients or I'm doing my own projects, that, I just have like the most up-to-date information. Mm-hmm. So I am reading this book called Film Insurance 101, How to Protect Your Film Project, because unfortunately my independent film folks, we want to make a movie and we don't think about the end result, which is selling it. And so when you get to the distribution table and you don't have all your ducats in a row, then you've got a product that you can't sell. So I'm a knowledge seeker, so I'm always seeking knowledge and information. So those are my two books that I'm actually reading right now.
I love it. So that first book the bookshop in Harlem that got shut down, was that because people were seeking for knowledge of self, or do you mean just like kind of esoteric knowledge, kind of like out there, or do you mean like Black people having knowledge of themselves?
esoteric and also knowledge about the history and knowledge about how to maneuver in what we're dealing with with some of the backlash of that now, where we don't believe that there's systemic racism, or there like that's some fake, that it's fake, that it's not real, that we make it up just because just because people of color are making this up. So yeah, it was more like the gentleman told me, that people went there to learn about what's going on so that they could be awake. A lot of people say they're awake today, and they're actually, still sleeping, and the alarm clock hasn't gone off, but they think they're awoke, and they're not. So, but yeah, that's basically what he was telling me about this book. I think the store was called the Bookstore of Knowledge or something. I know it was like on like 100 and I think he said like on Lenox and 120 something street, but they closed it, and they said they had to close it. They said that the store had to be closed. I'm trying to remember why he told me that it had to be closed, but basically it was a lie, because then they turned it into a parking garage.
Wow.
It was basically, you guys aren't going to have, and that's during the time of Black Power, when people were empowering themselves with the knowledge of what was really going on, like truly starting to wake up to the falsehood of what they were feeding our people. So yeah, it was like, no, that's not going to happen here. And so they shut it down. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. But then to tell me that, to order this book, which contains like information, I was like, oh, nobody gonna tell me I can't buy a book. Let me just buy a book.
I feel you. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self and give her some words of advice or encouragement, what would they be, and why?
Okay, so I was giving some thought to that when when you're asking this. I guess I would tell myself, my 18-year-old self, that there is light at the end of every dark tunnel, and that it's okay to not have to be strong all the time, to not be afraid, to dream big, and, just knowing that, I was deserving of the life that I'm living now. And I guess the reason why I would say those things to myself at that time is because I was a caregiver, and I was, going to college, night school, working a full-time job, and then I would come home and take care of my grandmother because she was very, very ill. And at the time, I just felt like that was it for me. That was where I was stuck. That I couldn't see beyond that time, that moment. And so, as actors, we're supposed to live in the moment. Well, I was truly living in the moment, and I hadn't really realized that I was in a very broken and dark mental place at that time. And I, again, not even knowing that, because I'm trying to be strong and pushing forward and trying to, basically wearing that mask of strength. Yet I was crumbling inside, because I just felt like I just said, I'm not going to, this is where I'm stuck. Like I thought that was going to be my life. And so I would tell myself, that, there is a light at the end of every tunnel, and be strong, and, dream big, and know that you are deserving of all the things that life has to offer you.
And what shifted for you in terms of like getting from that dark place? I think that'd be supremely valuable to people, particularly, and this kind of ties into the next question. It's right now there's struggle, there's real pain across the world globally. Why do you think it's so challenging for some people to stay positive or optimistic? And going back to the previous question of like, what did you do at that time where you're in that dark place, rock bottom, to get out of that? What was, did you read something? Did you pray? Did you meditate? What was it for you?
For me, I've always been a survivor, and I've always been a fighter. And, I've always been optimistic. I've never been negative or pessimistic. It's just at that time, like I said, I didn't know that that was my state of mind. Like, I thought I was fine because I was going to school and, I was, working and, I was doing all these things. And I didn't even realize that my mental was broken at the time because I had written it in a diary. I had written that, oh my God, like I'm so, but I forgot about that because for me, when I face challenges, I deal with them, and then I say, okay, I'm not staying here. I'm gonna push you over to the side, and you could stay there if you want, or be in the wherever. I'm just gonna keep moving on. And so I've always had that spirit of optimism and staying positive, and I got that from my grandmother. My grandmother, my dad were always positive role models for me in just life, and just always, no matter what happens, you keep moving forward. When you face challenges or you're in rough spots or negative spots or life is shits on you, you gotta, okay, you say, all right, I got shitted on. And then and I don't know if I can say, oh, I'm so sorry.
You could speak your mind. Speak your mind.
Okay, all right. I was like, ooh, am I supposed to edit myself? No, so, you're like, okay, it's like accept that this is what's happening, and then you look for the silver lining. Like, my grandmother used to always tell me, she's like, there's, that proverb, there's always someone complaining about having shoes until they look over and see someone that has no feet. So for me, I grew up with that. And I grew up with the Serenity Prayer. So, like I said, I didn't know at that time that I was there.
Wow.
And so acknowledging that I was, is for me a teaching moment for someone else, because for me, I didn't even, at the time I was living it, I didn't know I was in it. And so I didn't have time to wallow in self-pity or woe is me and cry about my situation. I just lived it. I just dealt with it. I was just in it. So I think for me, it's kind of hard to answer that question, because I don't want to be judgmental of anybody else, because I am a strong person, and I do, my thing is that you always have to look at the positive. And if you can't look at the positive, always know that whatever situation that you're in, somebody is in a far worse position. So if sometimes you can just stop for a minute and pause and think about that, is it really that bad? And it goes back to the previous question. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to keep looking for it. You just got to find it. So no matter what life throws at you, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm always like, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this?
I love that.
And so, yeah. So that's, you just have to hold on to, positivity and optimism, and allow those things to perpetuate hope and inspiration, and you'll have a positive mindset when you stay on that path.
And tell me about the day when you knew you wanted a career in the entertainment industry. What was that day like for you?
It's kind of hard, because I know that being an artist and wanting to be in the entertainment business are completely two different things, right? Because since I was probably 5 years old, I was always telling stories and writing songs and performing for my siblings and performing for myself and just being this artist, right? But wanting to be in this nutty business that we're in, right? The business of entertainment. I kind of knew when I had this audition that I had to tape, and I didn't know how I was going to do this. So I went out and I brought a video camera, a digital video cassette camera, to do my audition. And then I couldn't put that thing down. I was like, oh, you got a story? Let's film it. And so it became this thing where I was charging my friends who were in the dumps and in the dumpster, in their woe with me. I had a friend that was like, oh, I'm quitting this business. It's so tough. I was like, girl, you got to write some stories. I got a camera. And so, I'm like, I got a camera. Let's make some web series. And we were making web series back in 2009 when
wow.
people in my fingers, between my two little fingertips, and I looked through that lens, and I started visualizing how that story could be told and how I could bring the audience into that story that was just one words on a piece of paper. And that's when I knew, and then every time I got on set, I could be on a set for 16 hours. I once stood on set as an actor with a torn meniscus and a brace on my knee for 15 hours.
Wow. Fighter.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but I don't care because I'm in my element. This is worth for space.
Yeah.
So yeah,
When you're passionate about when you're passionate about something, it hits different. It doesn't feel like work. So that definitely resonates with me, for sure.
Yeah.
And
it's like you got to let that passion drive. You've got to find what drives you. Passionate, like you said, and you just got to hold on and just run like a bull in a china shop, as they say.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like from what I'm hearing, it seems like you're just hardwired for just like you have a fighting spirit. You're optimistic. So New York obviously locked down. We're in New York, and everybody had to quarantine. Some people are still in quarantine across the nation, across the world. What were the things that were going on in your head when it first happened? So you're hardwired for like just optimism. Thinking about that person who might not be wired like you, who just really is really just struggling right now. What was the first thing that went through your head, first of all, when New York first got locked down?
I mean, I guess I didn't think of anything other than the fact that I was seeing this craziness happening, this silent disease that was, attacking us, and people being, instantly like, what's going on? And so my last day in New York City was March 12th, and I remember clearly because I was working and I was in the city, and I came home, and I think that Friday, and I had just left an interview for a teaching artist job that I had gotten. I had gotten it previously, but I had gone there to meet the head of the organization. It was like on 112th Street, to discuss like what kind of programming we were going to bring to them. And so I was just like, well, whatever. And then that Friday, because March 12th, I believe, was on a Wednesday. That Friday, I was like, oh, wow, things are shutting down. Like, we're not going to be able to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't think anything other than like, okay, girl, you're always running. You were always on the go. You're always out of the house. So now you're going to be home for a while. And I was actually, I know, and this sounds like I was okay with it because I am always, I was like, am I the only weirdo that's happy that we got to shut the city down? Because that was where my head was. I was like, this is going to be okay. I'm about to stay home and find out what it's like to not be running around and hopping trains. Because for me, I'm in a part of Jersey that I have to either drive my car down to Newark, hop on a train, hop on a subway, or hop on a train, drive to the train station, hop on a train, then get to Newark, hop on another train, then hop on a subway, and God knows how many other subways depending on where I'm going in the city. So I'm like, this is wonderful. Okay, right? And then my creative head is on because I just feel like you always have to be ready or ahead of the game. So I had like I'm an artist in terms of like I actually paint and I create things. I'm also, like a filmmaker, and I write and I do I do a lot of things, as you already know. Mm-hmm. So my creative mind was like, girl, we got to have a field day in the house. Yeah. So, it was a little troubling because I had people that were starting to get sick and some people died. And right toward the end of March, I lost someone who I love dearly, my stepmom.
The one
who came into my life. Yeah, she was a mom when I needed to be a mom. When I needed to have a mom, she came into my life, and so I'm like forever grateful. And it's so weird. I tell people I have a stepmom and a stepdad, and they're like, well, how do you have that? I'm like, well, because my
That's interesting.
So yeah, so I'm always, me always embracing whatever. But so it was a little, those are the moments, where you had like dealing with people dying and getting sick throughout the pandemic. But really, for me, it was just opportunity. I felt opportunity was knocking on my door at that moment because all the creative projects that I had that I didn't have a chance to get to because I'm helping everybody else and running back and forth and running around, I actually got an opportunity to sit down and say, hey, let's get some of this stuff out into the universe.
That's awesome. So on the flip side of that, tell me about a time. Maybe you may not have had one, but tell me about a potential low point you had during this quarantine, and then how you turned that around.
Yeah, for me, the low point was just, my husband and I have had moments where we have lost an insurmountable amount of people in a short span of time. So we had been accustomed to that. I was not ready to hear people die, like literally, like on Thursday night and Friday morning, and then, I had stepped back a minute. I was like, whoa. And how I turned that around, I guess for me, I made a point to reach out more to, like I lost one, but I had two step-aunts that were twins, and so I reached out to them, and I was glad I did because then in May, one of them passed.
Oh man.
So yeah. So my turning around from just the first few blows, because like I said, in 1 week I think we lost like 3 people, including my stepmom, and then the following week we lost another 3 people, and I was like, whoa. And I know that for each life that enters this universe, a life has to pass and go and leave the universe, right? The spirit stays, but the life has to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fully like strengthened up my faith and my spirituality, and that is fat, it's kind of fat. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't prepare you to lose people like back with this coronavirus, back. And I was just like, what could I do? Like, I'm not one to be helpless and left in the wilderness without trying to find a way to light a fire and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what, that spirit of that mentality is what turned it around for me, because I'm like, no, you're not gonna let this, get you, and you're not gonna let the ignorance of the people who are telling you that it's not real and it's a hoax, and if you want to stay woke, you won't be, you won't have to deal with this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? People are dying. So hoax or no hoax, or scam or no scam, or conspiracy or not, people are dying, and people that we love. So you can't tell me that this isn't real when I've lost flesh.
Right.
Yeah. So, just again, just trying to stay positive, and actually in addition to reaching out to family and friends that I hadn't spoke to in a while and just trying to stay connected to those loved ones, I also picked up the phone and I called a good friend, Benja, who and I said, listen, what do you think about relaunching an Actual Web series? So that was it. We need a platform. I said, folks need a platform to speak, and we need to be that for them and for ourselves. And
Absolutely.
So that's turning it around, yeah.
Tell me about your documentary, Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth.
Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth. Well, okay, so that documentary stems from an Actors Like This series. At some point, we had decided as actors, because when I started an Actors Like This series, I wanted a series that would empower us as actors and performers and artists to create our own work, to do our own thing and not sit around and wait for somebody to cast us. And so one of the elements that came out of that was make your own damn movie. And so we did, set out to make our own damn movie. We lost people in the process, and the ones that were left we did our best to make a movie. Now, some might say that, if you didn't finish it, it's a failure. And I'm like, no, this project has been like divinely created from the start. And so Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth is the documentary is the end result of myself and my fellow actors setting out to make a particular movie and wind up making the movie, the documentary. And so it's really about showing people to still push on, to persevere, that you might set out in your mind that you're going to build an ark and you may only get to build a tugboat. So what? Did you build something? Yes. Does it float? Yes. Will it do the same things that the first thing that you wanted to do? Yes. Then you're successful. So that's what Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth is. That's a documentary that was birthed out of a need to complete a film that we started.
Beautiful. And what's your creative process like? Does it vary from project to project, or is it kind of you have a fundamental kind of foundational thing that you start with for each project?
For each project, I do believe that everything needs a blueprint, right? Everything that you do, you can't set forth without, an architect can't build a building without his blueprint. And anyone else that comes in to do any work on the building, they need to see the blueprint so they can know where they fit and what job that they have to do, whether it's the electrician or the plumber or the contractor. So for me, I always have to start out with this blueprint. And the film, uniquely, it was a bold thing that we did with this film. I don't want to share too much, but I took a script that I had written and I took out all the elements of what we call the earthlings. I kept the heaveners because I felt like what I wrote was so poignant with the heaveners, and there was messages in there that needed to be shared with the world, and ironically, they can still be shared today. And so I asked the actors to come in and fill themselves into the world of the earthlings and write these stories that would have been affected by things that happened or didn't happen in heaven. And so that was the blueprint for us to even start that. And folks were not used to that, and they were a little, but I challenged them. I was like, no, you can do this. And so out of that was birthed, like, producers that produced their own segments, and they had to learn the whole process of, what I'm teaching them. Like, okay, you're going to get this movie, you've got a script, now you've got a plan of how you're going to shoot it, you've got to get locations, you've got to get permit, whatever it is that you have to do, get all of that stuff together, and then you go out and you create it. But you can't go anywhere without your blueprint and your tools. So I always have that sit down and that blueprint before I step out into that world.
And you said that Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth stemmed from this project called An Actor's Life. What is An Actor's Life about?
So, okay, so it's like threefold. So An Actor's Life, the series, is the show that inspires actors, performers, or anyone in life that is seeking to reach their goals. I created the show as a means of inspiring people to go for what they want, to believe, to dream big, and to actually. And I know people say the thing. I like the saying is, live your dream, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to chasing your dream. I don't believe in chasing dreams. People are like, oh, chase your dreams. And no, live your dream. So that's what An Actor's Life, the series was about, was just this platform of myself and fellow actors sharing our triumphs and our challenges and, having conversations about things that we need, the business of acting or the business of self, the things to push us and propel us forward, but also a means to inspire other people that no matter what you're dealing with or what you're doing, whatever challenges you have, if you're passionate about what you want and you know what you want, you can have it. You dare to live your dream. That was like the thing, dare to live your dream. And so, An Actor's Life, the series birthed Cupid's Dilemma, which was the damn movie that we set out to make. It was entitled Cupid's Dilemma. Mm-hmm. And then Cupid's Dilemma is what is turning into Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth. Fast forward, An youth, we've had men of color, and we were going to have you on our second Male of Color Summit. But it was just this platform where people can now come and share what they're going through between COVID and social injustice and the death and the murdering of our Black men and our Black people and our people of color. And it's just this vehicle now where we have these talks, mental health, anything we feel that either we need or our audience needs, we're having those conversations because it's so critical right now when people are stuck at home with, some are helpless, don't know what they're going to do, don't want to think beyond, they can't think beyond. It's like, is COVID, this is it? And I'm like, yeah, there'll be life after COVID. So we have this platform now, and Actors Like the Series Rewind is there for us to share and communicate and commune and strategize and try to figure it out and be a community for our creative artists and fellow men to just listen in and maybe get some inspiration or get an idea or spark an emotion to go out and do something and be active or whatever it is that you feel you need to do or can do while we're living in this ugliness in America right now.
I love that. And this idea just kind of came in my head. This question, it's a simple question though. What purchase of $100 or less has made the most impact in your life in the past year? So anything that you bought for under $100 that's really impacted you, that could potentially be a resource or tool for others to kind of give them some optimism or some hope or positivity.
I would say, let me give some. That's a I love that question. I love that question. And I'm a techie girl, so I'm trying to decide if it's going to be something that's technologically based or something, like you said, that's simplistic in every way. So I would say, I know. I just and it's something simple. Everybody needs it right now.
Mm-hmm.
A damn external hard drive.
External. In case the apocalypse happened, your computer is saved.
Well, we're in this space, and I'm dealing with people now where I'm helping people, but everybody has so much digital content because we're taking pictures, we're taking videos, we're taking all this stuff, and people are calling me like, Michelle, I can't open my phone, or I'm like, get an external hard drive. So I brought this external hard drive for my phone, and it's an iPhone. I have an iPhone, and it looks like a little thumb drive, and you plug it into the bottom of your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever type of phone you have. You buy the thumb drive that's specific to your model, and you could actually give your phone or your tablet an extra. It goes from 32 to the one that I have is 256 gigabytes of additional memory on so that you don't go crazy, and you can take all the pictures of your baby and your dog and the empty streets or the moon, the sky, whatever you want to do.
Did you say the loon? The loon?
The moon.
Oh, the moon. I thought you were talking about the loon. I was like, the loon. the moon. No, I'm a picture taker. Like I literally had 15,000 images on my phone. Wow.
When COVID-19 hit us, and so I was like, oh my God. So I researched and I found this little tiny. It fits in your pocket, but it'll give you. I got 256 additional gigabytes to have digital content pass through my phone and you can plug it in your tablet or your phone, either, whatever you need to use it for. But it's this amazing little gadget. So yes, and it makes me happy, and it costs like $30 or $35.
That's beautiful. What stories are interesting you the most right now?
What stories interest me the most right now?
It could be things that you're creating or something that other people are creating, Netflix, Hulu, other content creators.
Well, I any story that surprises me and teaches me something new, I love. I love seeing stories with people that look like me. I love seeing stories with people that are diverse because I come from a diverse, family. All of us, we come from diverse backgrounds. So we need to see that in the stories that we're looking at. But I love stories that invoke thoughts or shifts in thoughts so that, when you walk away, you're like, wow. So I did Netflix binge a little bit because, you're home and there's so much content that, that's there. And you're like, let me see what I can grab. So, I loved Greenleaf. I loved watching Greenleaf. real, just hot mess family. I loved Queen of the South. That's, the struggle of the woman to make it to the top and, all the things that she had to deal with. I could identify with that. I identify with that character. But yeah, and The Shy, I love The Shy. So yeah, I just, as a creative content, sometimes it's nice to just fall back and watch some other things mindlessly and just enjoy it. So yeah, but they have to look like me, and they have to surprise me. They have to teach me something new, and they just can't be a boring, beginning, middle, and end. It's not gonna happen.
Dynamic. That's awesome. What are you currently working on? I know you have a lot of projects. What are you currently working on or most excited that you're working on right now?
Oh, so see, that's that question when you say, "Girl, what are you not working on?"
I know, because I was gonna say you have a lot. You have a lot that's going on.
I'm gonna try to summarize this like a little. I don't know. It's just a lot I'm working on. I'm grateful to be working with several Black theater companies, creating some digital content for them. NEC, Black Spectrum, AGM Theater. So I'm happy about that. I am preparing some deliverables for a feature film that I did some years back, and we are very close to finalizing a deal. So cross your fingers. I'll keep you posted to that because then I'll need folks to go out to the movies and support us.
I got you.
Yeah. So I'm continuously creating digital online content. I have a new show called Snack, Sip, and Show, where we do script readings, whether it's film, TV, or theater, and even pilots. It's a really innovative show where I kind of infuse theater or theatric and film inside of a Zoom window. Woo, challenging. And of course, we're actually filming some of the interviews with Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth, between Zoom and in person, and trying to be socially responsible. And we're gearing up for an Actors Like the series. We have been on vacation since the summer, and so now we're going to be gearing back up to bring some content to speak on the topics that are happening, and especially voting, which is so important right now, and getting our youth out here to vote, of which I am hoping you will be a part of. And
I'm there.
But so an Actors Like the series fan page, folks can go out and like that page. Then we have Snack, Sip, and Show. Support that show. It's kind of brand new. If you have content and you want to submit it, we'll be sending out some stuff for content. And we're also going to be holding a raffle because for me, myself, I don't believe in begging for money, and I'm not knocking anybody who asks for donations, but I believe in life that you have to give before you can take. And so for our give, what we're asking is that we are going to be holding a raffle, and I'm going to be posting that in the next couple of days, so where people can raffle off a nice goodie bag, and we will get some money to help pay our actors a stipend. So, that's kind of where I'm at with what I'm working on.
That's awesome. I ask all my guests this on every episode. When you think of the word creative, who's the first person that comes to mind and why?
Ooh. Well, I've got three people that always come to my mind because they are just innovative like me, and they're gangster, and they're always trying to raise the bar. And I'm gonna say them: Michael Jackson, Prince, and Beyonce.
Triple threat. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
triple threat.
That's a lot of excellence.
I wear many. That's a lot of excellence, right?
Yeah.
I
You
Like, seriously.
I know, it's like, it's kind of self-explanatory. They're just like, you just drop it like Prince, Michael Jackson, Beyonce. That's it.
And Prince. I just feel like those are my spirit twins. You know, like you have a spirit twin that people talk about, oh, I have a spirit twin.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my spirit twins because I've watched them, you know, I've watched the two men over the years, and then I watched Beyonce, you know, like I so applaud her. A lot of people kind of hate on her, and I don't understand why, because
people hate on Beyonce?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Probably some women, I guess. I don't know. Like, I have had friends in my circle. I'm like, really? Like, you talk about what? You talk about being what? The girl who, you know, like, I don't care.
They can have the hive all over them. I don't want that problem.
Yeah,
don't want that problem.
I just go, why are you hating? Like, girlfriend is bad. I'm sorry, I'm going to say a curse word. That's a bad bitch. And Spencer calls me a bad bitch, so I'm glad to be a bad bitch like Beyonce. So,
that's right.
You know, I think it's because, and for her, because again, I'm a female to a female, the humbleness that no matter what we're doing in the creative process and trying to create opportunities, for me, I'm always creating opportunities for myself and other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never like, oh, let me create this for myself.
Right.
And I see that in Beyonce, how she, you know, and I said, wow, that's really my spirit twin, because for me, even like I said, with Actors Like the series, when I came out the gate, it was about creating this opportunity for us, for a collaboration of people, not just me being this, you know, I see people do the selfish thing, and I'm like, again, I'm not knocking you, do you, if it works for you, it works for you.
Right.
But for me, I'm always trying to find these creative opportunities for myself, which is how Snatch, Sip, and Show was birthed, because it's like, oh, we all get together, the actors, the writers, directors, the producers, and we create. After the series, we all get together, blah, 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 and we make a move, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, anything that I do is always to celebrate creatives and our journey and give us a voice and a platform to do that with.
And how can people contact you? So maybe producers that want to learn from you, actors who want to be involved in your projects, writers, directors, how do people contact you? You have a website, social media handles. What's all that info?
Okay, my website is www.Michele1L Baldwin, like James or Alex, depending on which one's going to get me the job.com. Hey, I'm on Facebook as Michele Baldwin. I have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I subscribed to yours. I don't know if you know that. Michele Baldwin again. Yeah, I did. And I started watching some of your stuff. And I know you got me, but I'm talking to those people that we're talking to. So, and you got to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, okay? Michele Baldwin, YouTube, and then I'm on Instagram and Twitter as the letter I, like MichelleBaldwin.com. So, very easy to find me. And if you can't remember all that stuff, www.Michele1LBaldwin.com has the links to my LinkedIn, my YouTube, my IMDb, whatever. You can find me. I'm really not that hard to find. So I so appreciate having you here and being able to support your project, because I'm so excited for you that you're, you know, staying creative in the COVID as well, and before and after, and you know how it is.
Yep. Michele, it's been a blessing having you on. I learned about that bookshop. I'm excited to check out that book. And I hope other people will gather some value from this interview as well.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. And yes, check out the book. And I'll also do some research on that, because I thought that was very interesting about how that happened at a time when folks really were doing what we're doing now. So stay out here, keep your voice out, keep searching, keep your eyes open, for real, and stop hating on each other, and let's uplift each other, and stay positive and optimistic and hopeful, and believe that, you know, like I said, there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely.